Bestow Productions presents Creative Continuity at New York Comic Con 2013. Get the latest news directly from artists, writers, and the occasional celebrity appearance. Tune in for Creative Continuity's coverage of NYCC. We bring the convention to you.
Talking with Gregg Chillin.
I went to film school and I made a movie called Robot Stories, and at a certain point when I was taking Robot Stories out to film festivals, my agent said, "Hey, I'm talking to some people at Marvel, would you like to talk to them?" And I was like, "Yes, of course." And she gave them the screenplay to Robot Stories, which they liked, and I ended up writing comics for Marvel. The very first assignment was a book called Warlock.
Okay.
I mean, I developed a few other things before that didn't go through for one reason or another, and and they kept telling me they really liked what I was doing, and I was like, okay, well let's, and they kept throwing more stuff at me to think about, but I was in development for about a year before we finally, came out with something. So it was a long process, but as soon as the Warlock book came out, things started to really roll from there. The second job I got at Marvel was writing that X-Men Phoenix End Song book. Yeah. Every once in a while I get a job that makes me jump up and down, dance around in my room, and that was one of them. You know what I mean? Because I grew up reading, some of those classic X-Men stories, the Dark Phoenix saga, and this was kind of picking up some of those threads. It just blew my mind that they were going to let me tell a Phoenix story. So, and then Greg Land came on board to do the art, and it was just a perfect match for that book. I think the first issue debuted at like number 3 on the charts that month, which was a mind-blowing experience. It was huge. It was a lot of fun. I'd met Jim Lee a few years back. We had been on a panel together at the San Diego Asian Film Festival, and we hit it off. We kept in touch. But one day, I look at my phone and it's blinking and it says Jim Lee on it. It was like, what's going on here? He said Batman and Superman, and I said, yes, please. So folks at DC have been amazing to work with. My editor's Eddie Berganza, who's been fantastic, and of course working with Jay Lee and now Brett Booth. These are amazing artists, so I can't complain.
What was your initial pitch to him in terms of story that you had?
Well, I threw a whole bunch of different ideas out, we just started bouncing stuff around. I can't even remember what the first actual story was. I mean, I knew that I wanted to take these two guys. I knew the emotional story, that I wanted to take these two guys and explore their conflicts, really. You know what I mean? Because that's what's interesting about them is that I think they have the same goal, but they come about it from two totally different ways, and that's fascinating to me. You know what I mean? And I think that's why they work so well as friends and as rivals. Yeah. Because they just by putting them together, they're forced to think about what they do, and they challenge each other just by being around each other. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to explore those kinds of things, and so I was throwing out different ideas, and the other editors came to me and said, "Well, what about Earth 2? What about doing a first meeting, of them, of the first time they go to Earth 2?" Yeah. And I thought about it for 10 seconds. I was like, "Yes, that would be fantastic." Because that opens up a whole alternate universe thing, which can be a mind bender and a bit of a challenge to handle. But I love that kind of stuff. But what really sold me was the notion that on Earth 2 you've got these older versions of the characters. Older, more experienced, and more confident, and also best friends. Yeah. And that is a great contrast with these very young heroes that I was dealing with, who basically are meeting for the first time and thinking the other guy's a villain. You know what I'm saying? And so you take these young guys and put them in the same room as these older guys, and you got tons of drama. We're working with a Bruce Wayne who's a little bit older, a Clark Kent who's a little bit younger, and so there's an interesting dynamic there with the two of them. In a funny way, so Clark may be a little more naive. Yeah. But also maybe a little more crazy in some ways. You know what I mean? Like as the younger guy, maybe he's. They're both. What I like about it, the first story arc that I wrote was them as very young. You know what I'm saying? But even in sort of present day DC continuity, these guys are young. They're still figuring out what it is that they do and how to do it. And I think that's a great place to be with characters, because maybe they're going to be a little cocky, maybe they're going to make some mistakes, and that's a very interesting place to play with characters. It's a fun dynamic to explore. So
going forward, you're taking on action comics with Aaron Kuder. How did you guys go about doing that?
Well, Aaron and I are having a blast because I turned in my first outline for the first issue, and Eddie looked at that outline and he said, because I do a pretty detailed page-by-page outline before I go to full script, where I'm working in all the dialogue and everything. Eddie looked at the outline and he said, let's just send this over to Aaron. Let's go plot first on this. Plot first is that's the way Stan Lee used to do it. He'd write out a plot, which is just a kind of a bare bones outline describing what happens, and then they'd give it to the artist, and the artist would do a huge amount of the figuring out of what happens panel by panel and everything. And so we're doing that, and then Aaron and I get on the phone and talk it all through with Eddie, and it's just been an amazing experience because Aaron's really great. He loves story, he loves these characters, and he's just got a really good ear for. He knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And we both have really had a lot of fun working this way. The fact that we actually get on the phone and talk through the whole book panel by panel is amazing too, because there are certain little things that we're coming up with on the fly in those conversations that are just like, oh yeah, that's the perfect little callback. That's the perfect little button for this scene. Yeah. Stuff that I might have figured out on my own if I'd written the whole plot out, but it's just coming together very beautifully, collaboratively. So Code Monkey Save World, it's a graphic novel based on the songs of Jonathan Colton.
Oh, wow.
It's about a coding monkey, a put-upon coding monkey who ends up teaming up with a supervillain in order to save his office crush, who actually may not need saving at all. So it's kind of a gormless couple of buddies, or it's a sort of dangerous buddy story set in the Colton-verse, as we like to call it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, man.
I just put all my faith in the scripts, to be honest. I just know that, we know this woman existed, we know she was living in Florence at that time, but that's about as far as it goes. So it's a brilliant opportunity for David and I now to just build this character, and we can kind of take her anywhere. So, and it's not, you don't feel suffocated by fact and history, and so we can go to each other and say, why don't we take her in this direction? And there's an opportunity to say, yes, let's do that. Right. There's so many mysteries with her, so many things that we don't know, I don't know, and you never quite know which string she's gonna, twang next, because
twang. No, I like it.
Yeah, she kind of. What I like about her is that she has so many sides to her personality that in any situation she can utilize any of those traits. Her intelligence, her sexuality, her passion, her loyalty. So I like the fact that in different situations she can turn the loyalty card and say, this is what I'm playing today, I'm being loyal to mine.
I think your character is like the most complex, interesting character, I would say, for me in the season. I think that's why we're lucky that hopefully if it just runs and runs, there's just so much depth there. And in season 2 it's even more, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really exciting. I kind of feel like this woman, something happened in her life 10 years previously to when you met her in season 1, which affected everything about who she is. And I think in that moment, there were two paths. What happened, and I feel like she would have taken the other path if this thing hadn't happened. But she was forced to start living the life that she's living now. And it goes against actually who she is, so she's had to learn that. And I think she was very closed and very shut off to emotion and love and all those different things. And what was interesting about season 1 was meeting Da Vinci. He opened a gate, which meant now she's completely conflicted because she's trying to avenge what happened and being really strong and almost quite, masculine. And then she meets this guy and she's like, oh my God. Starts thinking with her heart, which is dangerous for her. Yeah, like the second season, you see Lucretia put on the trousers and become someone who utilizes her intelligence and her strength more than her sexuality. In season 1, she was using that because that was her tool, that was her weapon, whereas now she's left that behind. She's on her own journey and she's having to use other skills. So certainly the femme fatale is still kind of there, but it's been developed and now she's able to be stronger this season.
And
also because they go back. You see flashbacks and see some of the history that drove your character to do the things she had to do.
Yeah, we go back and find out what's made her the woman that she is today, which was really interesting. So we kind of went back sort of 7-8 years.
Basically, something happens that, because Zoe's done, like, Zoe doesn't care about the book. I mean, he cares about it, but nowhere near. He doesn't want to risk his life anymore for any crappy book he's never even seen. But something happens really early on. Someone very close to him gets kidnapped, taken away, and he's forced into saying to Leo, I'm going to come with you until we get someone back, and after that, I'm done. And that happens very, very early on. So then you've got another sort of 9 episodes of kind of going to the new world, being strangers in this incredible place, but also kind of only being the two people that kind of really know each other in these dangerous situations. It's kind of a weird dynamic of being at loggerheads with someone, but having to get on and having to pull together no matter what. It's been really interesting.
You two have an unconditional love for each other.
Yeah,
don't you?
and it's interesting, because David's so amazing. He's clearly got lots and lots of history that between Zoe and Leo. Stuff is alluded to this season, but I know that they're going to go back and we're going to discover just why Zoe follows him around, like why he does have this love for him. It's cool, be interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome because again, like we didn't put any strict rules on it. So we are playing in the Renaissance era, but there's always an opportunity to break the rules and break the boundaries when it comes to design of character, design of set, design of anything. So yeah, we weren't stifled by really strict rules.
Yeah. And
I always think that it's almost like a complete reflection of who Leonardo da Vinci was at our show, because he was living out of his time. He was one of the characters in our show refers to da Vinci as a dreamer. So he could dream up anything, as he does, and it's kind of a nice reflection. We've got this principal character who's this, bohemian artist who's living out of his time, and then the rest of the show kind of follows suit. So we can dream up an idea and a style.
I think Annie Simmons from last year, after costume design, kind of all the characters almost have a kind of comic book, kind of superhero-esque kind of look. We've all got a very distinguished look. And it's fun. It beats putting on sort of slightly different jeans and a slightly different coloured top. Feeling like Gregg, but feeling a bit uncomfortable. I'd rather put on a big Zoroaster shoulder pad, red jacket.
And then you instantly feel like him as well, don't you?
Yeah, it's just more fun. It is. We just dress up, we're having fun. It helps everything.
We are on completely separate journeys. We're not together, but we are together. We both hold each other in each other's hearts all the way through these journeys. And you're right, they both have such similarities with their relationship with their parents. And if the two of them just sat down together, had a cup of tea and said, listen, this is the situation, this is what I've been through, and this is what I'm going through, and this is what I've had to do, then I think he would be the only person who would understand and not judge her and say, I completely understand, and actually I'm probably the person who could help you and solve this for you and rescue you. So I'm excited for that moment when they come back together and they have an honest conversation about what the two of them have been through in their lives, and not holding secrets back all the time, because they do. They hold secrets back from each other all the time. Ironically, they are probably the only two people, male and female, who could be honest and wouldn't judge. Certainly, I think the main theme of this year is that we're all just on our own journeys. We never forget each other. We are always in each other's minds, but we are certainly on our own journeys this year.
Even sort of geographically, we're scattered.
Yeah.
It's still all intertwined. But characters who you haven't seen together get thrust together in crazy situations. That's been really fun, because obviously we all know each other personally, but our characters haven't really
cross paths. Yeah,
that's been fun. Actually getting to work with other people.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Cool.
Thanks.
New York, the Big Apple, not the Big Pineapple.
It's a pineapple?
Well, it's a Hawaii reference.
I want to eat pineapple.
I don't like pineapple.
Do you know about Bestow Productions? We're the area's leader in video production. We provide quality, award-winning, and professional work in television commercial advertising, video for the web, video content for direct distribution, video on demand, and so much more. Give us a call at 570-486-4948 and see what Bestow can do for you. And now you know.